Hello and welcome to another video from Armoury Antiques and Militaria and our YouTube channel. Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you're well, as we always say. And we wanted to give you an update on the 1803 pattern sword we've done 2 videos on so far on YouTube. We wanted to show you it because this is the last time we're going to have it in our possession. I had a client who persuaded us to sell it to him because it's such a fantastic and unique Waterloo period sword. Now, as you know from the videos I've shown you already, we did a lot of research on this sword, but the gentleman who it sold to did more research and added to the story of this sword. Now, this sword was carried at Waterloo. It was carried by Lieutenant Hill, and it's all engraved on the spine of the blade to that officer. He was a lieutenant, and I believe later on he retired as a captain. This sword has always been in Devon, and since after Waterloo. And it's unique because we've got a name for the officer who carried it. We know he was on the 28th of foot, of which this sword is etched. It's got 28th of foot etched on the blade, Waterloo and other battle honours. And the 28th of foot were interesting, as I've said in the research, which I put on our website and also on the videos I've shown you. And that is that, you know, they were one of only, I think, 3 regiments that were commended or mentioned in dispatches by the Duke of Wellington for their bravery at Waterloo. Now, the 28th of foot, when we talk about these, and the lieutenant who this sword belonged to, it really does paint an interesting picture because when research was done, the porcelain plaque was found with Lieutenant Hill and his image that's been hand painted onto it, which is with the family. Now, this is very, very unique. You don't find this very, very often. And when you've got the porcelain portrait from 1803, around that time, of Lieutenant Hill, at that time, in his uniform, in his regimental uniform, and the 28th of foot also on his uniform too. What I'll do is I'll put an image on YouTube for you so you can see the porcelain plaque with the image of Lieutenant Hill, who owned this sword and carried it at Waterloo. And you'll see the image of him, and on his cross belt, the belt that's worn across the body, you'll see it's got the 28th on there, 28th of foot. And of course, as I said, the blade is etched on the blade to the 28th. So it's a fantastic object, and I wanted to record it on YouTube, not only for our good friends and people out there on YouTube, but also for us to remember this fantastic sword bite, because this is a unique find. You do not find swords from the Waterloo period named on the spine of the blade, that's the back of the blade, to the officer, also etched on the blade to the actual regiment, the 28th, but also with such rich history when it comes to Devon. The 28th were full of Devon-born men, and also there was a contingent of Irish in there as well, but mostly Devonshire. So we're going to miss this sword. This sword was found on a wall in Devon, and it had been on a wall for at least 60 years. At least 60 years. It was covered in dust. And as you can see in the recesses here, you'll see the detritus that's built up. Now, all I've done, as you can see on the scabbard, it's got quite a nice bright finish. That's because I've just put some wax on it. I've fed the leather, which is very important to stop any further deterioration. Really important with these Georgian scabbards because they do bend and they do dry out, so it's important you feed them. And on the other side, if I turn it over just to show you the other side, you'll see there's a centre seam. So if I go along the scabbard, here's the brass end cap which has not been cleaned. You'll see we've got the stitching all the way along the centre of the scabbard, and that it's in good condition, hasn't come apart. But it's very important that it's waxed to keep that going for an 1803 pattern Waterloo sword. It's very, very important. You've got the hanging rings here, which are all in place. You can see the little bits of detritus in these cutouts that are still on the sword. But waxing it is of paramount importance, as I've said, just to make sure we maintain it so it can be kept for the future, for future generations. Now, the gentleman's had a box made for this. I won't say who he is, obviously, that's indiscreet. But you can see where this hasn't been cleaned. You see all the original gilt on the hilt here underneath the patina that's built up. Now, you get some people on YouTube and some people on these strange forums that say, oh, I'll put it on a buffing wheel and I'll clean it to an inch of its life. That would ruin this sword. It really doesn't need doing. You can see all the lovely gilt underneath the patina. This has never been cleaned since after Waterloo. It's literally been brought back to Devon. put on a wall or kept by the family and never ever cleaned. This is as good as it gets, ladies and gentlemen. You do not find them. I repeat, you do not find them like this anywhere. It's such a unique find. And when we look at the way it's built this patina up, and you'll see on the top of the scabbard here, we've got the maker's mark. Let me get it into focus view. Prosser, Charing Cross, London. The blade's made by Prosser from Charing Cross, London. And just to repeat, really, this was carried by Lieutenant Hill, who later retired as a captain. He survived Waterloo and he fought at Waterloo. And this is the sword that he carried at the Battle of Waterloo. I just can't get over the provenance that we have with this sword, and the condition of it is just such a unique item. And as you can probably hear, look, I'm excited about it. No doubt, other people will be excited about seeing a sword like this. You just don't see them. Yes, there's people out there that say, I've got an 1803. They're not very rare. Well, are they named to an officer that we can research to Waterloo that carried it and fought with it? Have you got a picture on porcelain plaques that show you the image of the man that carried the sword in his full uniform, matching the 28th of foot, which is etched on the blade? No, you haven't. This is unique. This is unique and a wonderful example. We're very proud to have been able to handle it, purchase it, and pass it on to the next owner. Now, let's talk about the new owner. The new owner was a lovely gentleman who purchased it from us just the other day. And it was lovely to meet someone in our antiques, arms and armour shop that knew more about the conflict than I did. I'm so used to having to tell people about models, patterns, history, events and that sort of thing. But of course you meet some people that are really knowledgeable historians. We've had them all of our life in the shop. We used to deal with Professor Richard Holmes and all those sorts of people that were very famous on television. Lovely people. But as I said, it's nice to meet people that know a lot about a subject. And as soon as I started to talk about the 28th of foot, he said, oh yes, and he went on and on about it because he had a great deal of knowledge about that particular 28th of foot regiment. And of course, when we spoke about Picton, Lieutenant General Picton, who the 28th fought under at Waterloo, and Picton was killed at Waterloo. You probably know that if you're a Waterloo buff. All this story started to come together, and the man got more and more excited, especially when you showed him the name of the officer on the back of the spine, professionally etched on there, like the etching on the blade. The 28th of foot on the blade, as I've said to you. And then also the research that I'd put together, but also married with the research that this gentleman who bought this sword put together. It was really special. And, I'm tingling now, and you may think, oh, don't be so silly, but it's so nice to sell a sword to a client who absolutely adores it and will never sell it and will research it to the nth degree so that it can be enjoyed in the future by family members and kept in the family. And the story of the man who carried this at Waterloo, Lieutenant Hill, will be remembered, celebrated, and put together with that porcelain plaque, which gives you an image. To get an image from 1803, 1815, whatever you want to, this is exactly where this is, 1803 to 1815. And get an image of an individual to a sword from that period, you just don't see it. It's super rare. Had to share the update with you. As you can see, I'm quite excited about it. I'm more excited for the client that's going to be getting this sword in the next few days, and rightfully so. It's a wonderful object, and I just wanted to share an update with you. So as I said, what I'll do is I'll put a photograph of the porcelain plaque that we've got. I'll put that on the YouTube video as the thumbnail for you, and then you can see that shows the officer who owned this sword. The 28th of foot on his crossbelt matches the blade on here and everything else, got his name on the back of it. Just wonderful. Well, look, thank you very much for watching. We hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm sorry about the shaky camera work, but I'm doing it freehand because obviously I'm moving up and down the sword before we package it and send it off to the client. For the client, if you're watching, this is your sword. It's coming to you very soon, sir, and it'll be with you directly. Privileged to meet you, and thank you everyone for watching. Please put some comments down below if you'd like to. They're always welcome as long as they support what we're talking about, and we look forward to meeting you down here at Armoury Antiques and Militaria. Thank you for watching.